There we go.
Welcome back to another edition of the TABC Summer League podcast. Oren Glickman alongside Jack Turell. No matter how many times I try to pull away from this, Jack is able to rope me back in each and every time.
I think there's a line in The Godfather where Pacino goes, "Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in." And that's not a great Pacino. I could do a lot better. You, sir, are a guy that every time I'm out, they pull me back in. That's the best I could do, but that's
It's
all.
all good in the hood. A lot of action has unfolded. It's great to have the opportunity to go over it with you. I actually had a chance to stop by the league last week, catch up with some old friends. Shout out to Daniel Malka.
He's a gem.
Um, yeah,
A
one of the
gem.
best. And I think this week we're not even in TABC, right? We're at another school,
Well,
correct?
we're at Hay Hall, so this is actually it's going to be interesting because I think it's advantageous to the guys who played at Zion.
Yeah,
Because
your name is up on one of the banners in that gym.
I coached the Hay Hall Hornets to the JV championship. I was an assistant coach back when I was married a couple years ago, and my name will forever be on that banner. I'm very proud of those boys. A lot of those boys are now seniors, so that's kind of really cool. I'm now at Ramaz Middle School, and I'm trying to work my way up to bring a championship to a varsity or JV level in the Yeshiva League. I've got it done in the Yeshivish League, and I'm looking forward to getting it done there.
Well,
Hey,
hopefully that'll
Paul.
give you some motivation and get your first win this week in the summer league.
Well,
Oh
yes.
wait, it's July 4th this week. So are you out of commission?
No, I'm in commission July 1st. That Levy did a great job of giving me the vacation that I needed, which is, we go out July 3rd to July 8th. So I have a game on the 1st and the 11th. And look, we are 0-2, but we lost both games in overtime and pretty much gave them both away. I think that's just like a team that's never played with each other before. I'm just going to be transparent. Barron, we have 2 point guards. Barron, both games came from a back-to-back. So at the end, probably was tired, right? And that's when you need to close out games. I mean, there were two good teams. As we know now, the Blazers are, well, as you knew already, the Blazers are really good. And as we know now, the Thunder, I think Mordecai Shapiro is the best player in the league. He's
Hmm,
incredible. The
he does it
wedding
all.
singer, first of all, we don't listen to Mordy Shap in my apartment anymore. We're a strict Simcha Liner family now. He's doing that to a lot of families. This might have been the worst business decision for Mordy Shapiro for the Spotify streams because the way he's putting buckets on people feels absolutely personal. I went over and over at different Shabbos people. I don't even want to talk about it. Shout out to him. He's playing incredible. Lefty hooks, righty hooks, mid-range J's. He killed us. He had 25 points, was completely unstoppable, hit the game winner. Um, but to bring it full spirit on the Warriors, we lost to two really good teams in overtime, one in double overtime. One team that you picked to win the championship, and I was questionable at first to see Josh because I said Josh Chestnut needs to be healthy. He's playing great, and if you think about it, that Blazers team has the longest, their length, the toughest team to score on. I think they're going to be one of the best defensive teams, and that Thunder team is good. Burry put a great team around him. Kirshner could play. Burry could play. Sushime, we know, is a great shooter that could go off, and he went off. My team didn't read the scout on Sushime, just plain and simple. Um, and you know, we have a lot of things that we want that we figured out. I think in that Thunder game, we were down 11 at the half, and we were up three so we're up three. We get to stop. Our guy gets a rebound. And I kind of say to him, like just take your time on this, take your breath, relax, knock it down. And to his credit, he's never played in an organized setting. He missed a free throw. It happens, right? And he rushed it a little bit, all good. They get the rebound, they score. Now we're up. They get fouled and 1 for 2, whatever. They're up two. I throw it into another player was hit all his free throws that night. Told me later he had no legs on it. Missed both. Then they get a rebound. They miss a shot, get a rebound, get fouled again. 1 for 2, we're up one. I throw it to another guy, he misses. But so we missed 6 free throws down the stretch. That's giving the game to the other team. You could have the best leader in the game. You could have Isaac Merwitz and Johnny Nolman leading your team. You could have Pat Riley on your bench. You got to be able to be mentally tough to knock them down the stretch, take a breath, and relax. But we know that I'm not worried about the Warriors team. Maybe I'm being really harsh now, harsher than I've been in the thing. You'd rather peak closer to the playoff times than peaking now. We've seen so many teams when we've been doing this that really were great out the gate. And a few teams that come to mind are the Wizards with the Bury Wizards, or I think that was his team with Rafi Mitnick and Adam Dietz. He came out, they looked unbeatable and they lost in the first round. Another team last year was a little bit more because of injury rather than actual deterioration, because it's the only one that really comes to mind was the Reinhardt team. My team last year came out really hot and we stunk, and Dan's team last year came out bad and made the semis. And if you think about it, you'd rather be a team that makes the semis than the team that gets bounced in the first round. So really, it's a short season, but it's a long season. There's a lot to figure out. So I'm not really even worried about my team.
Oh, I mean,
In general.
June is only ending to the first day of July is only tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
So that tells you everything.
Oh, it's game three, and every team makes the playoffs. The only thing you want to avoid is the Wizards. And
Right.
it's just like you don't want to play Ethan Lasko, Moskovich, Jacoby like when they're clicking. If they can click. I want to say like this podcast is brought to you by Guy with the Toolbox. Contact Yechiel Tannenbaum today for help with all of your home projects such as TV mounting, picture hanging, furniture assembly, towel bar, hook install, curtain rod install, wall shelving, baby gate install, secure furniture to the wall, office chair, mirror hanging, trampoline assembly, file cabinets, bed frame. Call or text 732-955-7501 or 732-853-4649. He is the man. Should we get to
That's a new sponsor.
we got a new sponsor. Should we get
Ah,
to let's get to the teams. I don't really have a ranking, but I could kind of list it out verbally.
yeah.
And let's share the screen. Um, all right, so first game. So I was really high on the Kings last week. I still am, and the Jazz are rolling right now. Right now, I think they're my number one team in the West. They are totally number one right now with the. Let me tell you something about this team. I mean, they're any team with Malka and Katz and Joe Rosen is going to be good. Plus, they got the guy Momo Schlam, who was supposed to be good, and he is. Plus, they got the steal of the draft and David Cohen, who's great. Plus, the Akiva Blumenthal just came back. This is by far the most complete team in the league. They play like a unit. They are full of unselfish guys who are tough. They cut, they run, they're not lazy. You really need to D up on them, and you can't let them go. Now, their one weakness is they're not gigantic, but with Akiva Blumenthal back, that's going to help with the size.
Yeah.
What I heard, Yaron Schneider got hurt in the second half. That definitely takes an aspect away from the Kings, so it's not bad on them. But they're clicking all cylinders. What are your thoughts on the Jazz?
Well, it's funny because Daniel Malka was on the Jazz last year too, so I like to see a comparison from him on his Jazz team last year compared to his Jazz team
But
this
look at
year.
the Cats.
Right, and the Cats, correct. Good call. Um, I I actually think it was a welcome development to have Joe Rosen be a captain in the league.
I mean,
Um,
yes.
he really knows the league inside and out, and it's not a surprise to see him in his first year uh, leading a team already 3-0, right?
Already 3-0.
Yeah,
Already
I
3-0.
mean, so that speaks volumes. And also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Rosen's been in the championship game for 3 years in a row,
No, each of the
two
last two
years, at
years.
least 2 years in a row.
Evan Chesner was two out of the last three,
Uh-huh.
and Joe Rosen is Evan Chesner won two out of the last two, three, and Joe Rosen's been in the last 2 years.
Right. So Joe Rosen knows how to compete in this league and he knows how to get far. And it doesn't surprise me at all to see his team at the top of the pack right now.
No, absolutely. He drafted a great team. This David Cohen pick turned out to be amazing. And they have guys. You're gonna have to beat them. They're not gonna lose. Like sometimes you play team. I'll give you an example. Like, no, I mean, sometimes you play teams and they give it away at the end. This Jazz team is never gonna give it away at the end. And they're never gonna quit. Even if you're up 11, you're gonna compete the whole way, a lot like their Zion team plays. It's gonna be very tough.
And you can't play from behind against them.
No, you can't play from behind. it's definitely tougher to play from behind. I don't know if I'm ready to say that. Just because I don't know. It's that's a big statement. It's not disrespectful. I just feel like what's a team that you can't play from behind would be, if they have, Gabe Lifer. I mean, Devin Katz certainly. I ranked him fifth in my league, and probably this series, probably second or third.
Hmm.
The way he's playing. But you definitely don't want to fall behind, especially the way they could light it up. They could shoot, they could cut. Um, they're tough. Kings, they play us this week, so they're going to look to bounce back. I still have a lot of respect for that team, and I still think they'll be fine. I think Jeroen Schneider's injury probably threw him for a loop a little bit. It changes what they could do. I think like one of their valuable things that they have is an ability to kind of switch up styles. So they come into the game with sometimes you could throw it to Jeroen down low. He gives you a different look. He gives you some size. It was a close game until he got hurt. Now, does that mean that it would have been a close game the whole way? I don't know. I'm not Gary. I'm not saying that.
Well, Yaron's one of the more experienced players on this Kings team.
Yeah, he's a vet, and I think when you lose a player, that's a value, it definitely throws a team for a rope, and especially if and the other team starts getting a momentum out of it, it's helpful. Now, I'm not saying the Kings would have won. I'm not even saying they would have been close had he not gotten hurt, but I think that's something to be of note.
Right.
Um, Thunder Warriors was the
Looks like it was the
game.
game of the week.
It was the game of the week. That's back-to-back weeks. We got the game of the week. We're going back-to-back in OT and back-to-back where, we let it slip. But I gotta say, like, I think it's a step in the right direction. Like Ellie Gruenberg, who could be our secret weapon, prior to this season, hadn't picked up a basketball and played in a game in a year. Um, I had a
Right.
talk.
He'll even tell you he's more a coach these days than a player.
Well, which we need the player. We don't need the coach. Like, it's rec ball. You really need the player more than you need. Now he's a brilliant IQ and he pulled a lot of great plays down the stretch.
He had the best
Still
handles in high school when I saw him
still has
play.
great handles. He's still great. He had a much better game this week than he had, and he's gonna have a better game next week. Now the idea is that if he could start getting some subs in and playing a lot, by the time we get to week 7, he could be elite. And now you're looking at 3 elite scorers in me, Herman, and him, with Avi Baron as an elite defender, and Marcus is an elite defender, and Swiss is an elite kind of bench, punch off the bench. And SJ is an elite social media personality. And now we're rolling. Like I think like yeah, maybe we're 0-2. I think this is the best 0-2 team I've ever seen. I mean, there's 2 games we went to OT. I don't think anybody wants to play us.
The change of scenery might do you good tomorrow night.
Um, maybe. I think I think if we get a win on the board, we close out a game, it'll be good for us. I think it's very realistic that this team goes 5-2. 4-3 is realistic. The Jazz obviously will be tough. I think 2 of the 3 toughest teams that now that we see the standings have been gotten out of the way. Like the Blazers are now have a plus minus of 15 and they're 2-0. And the Thunder are 2-0 with a plus minus of 10. We took both teams to OT. We could have won both those games. Over to and we were up. We didn't hit the shot to send it to OT.
Right.
The other team did, which
Right.
means 2 things. Maybe my fault about substitutions down the stretch. Maybe I need to play Swiss more, especially for offense for defense. I think it's inarguable that I need to start doing that, especially
Mhm.
down the stretch. But we'll be fine. Herman is great. I have to say this, like people were giving me like, oh, he's telling me, and I think we even said on this pod, like, oh, Herman, I don't know if you're
I
like
wasn't. I think he's the best 3-point shooter in the league.
he is such a pleasure to play with. People are like, oh, he's gonna take some the way he played last game, and hopefully we can continue to play that way, where we're playing him as a Reggie Miller type, running off elevators, running off pin downs. The way I love playing with him, he's such a calm presence. He's a great locker room guy, and he's an incredible player. He's an incredible shooter. He got put us back in the game. Ryan shat all over, pardon my language, crapped all over our team because he's Ryan, and that's what he did. If you think I'm tough, guys, You should hear the car rides home. Those stuff you'll never hear from the PR version. And he was a big Herman fan. He's playing
Well,
great.
camp's over, so Ryan's going back now, right?
No, he's going to be there on Monday night. He's going to be there because we're
Oh,
going
he's
to
still
Ben
sticking.
Hamer
He's
and me
sticking around.
Arthur's wedding. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be fine. Let's go to the Thunder.
Okay. Let's.
Elite.
Thunder. Yeah.
So
So
I still Jeremy Brody's a winner. He's a
yeah, he was
winning
part of
player.
Gabe Leifer's DRS team.
Yeah, and you know what? He played in the RCCS tournament, and he took a team that I thought was marginal, the rest of the guys, and he took them to the finals. And it's not because he's like his contemporary Mordecai Shapiro, who's making incredible shots. Like Mordecai Shapiro is an incredible shot maker. It's not really Jeremy Brody. Jeremy Brody just makes the winning plays. And it's hard to think that when you just say it, but when you see it and you see that he's the first one hustling back to get an easy breakaway, you see that he makes that extra steal, you see that he makes the extra dive on the floor, you see that he's the point guard for all plays that the offense starts and ends with him. You see that he gets Mordecai Shapiro the ball in positions he could score. You see that he's driving in the lane, attacking weaknesses in the D, getting an offensive rebound, never quitting, going hard, running back on D, making sure we don't have breaks. He's the leader, and they kind of understand who they are already, the Thunder. They all have their roles. They all know where they need to be. That's like really important. It's super important for people to know their roles. That's kind of the key. Like if the teams don't know their roles, you're not going to win games. If you have guys thinking they need more shots when really they need more rebounds, or you have guys who think they need more rebounds or really they need more D, this league you're not going to win. I'm
Well,
sorry.
that's why Burry's a good captain. He has a certain philosophy every year with the team, and he always gets every single player on that team to buy into the
Well,
philosophy.
he rectified his mistake in his from last year, and I think his mistakes from last. And by the way, I don't think his last year's team was bad. I thought we were really good, and one lucky play. I think if Burry plays for us, we
You
might.
probably beat the Weinbergers with
We're
Burry.
probably in the finals versus the Bucks, so we would have played. We would have beaten the Weinbergs, and
No,
we
the
could get
Spurs.
the versus the Spurs. We would have gotten Stevie without Stevie. Then we're playing the Spurs. Like then we're in the finals, and it's like that was what a successful season. It completely changes everything. But that's just the beauty of the game. One bounce could change a whole narrative of a season. Now it's like, oh, we lost in the second round, so we're considered a bum year. It wasn't a bum year, but anyway, the thing he changed is he's got no head cases on his team, no locker room dominant. He's the dominant personality. Brody is quiet. Shapiro, he's coming in, he's doing his thing, he's going out and singing. Kirshner is a nice guy. Sushine, we know, is a great locker room dude. Judafine, a good guy, and they all know their roles and they play the Burry style. They're 2-0. I was wrong. I mean, I didn't realize Mordecai Shapiro was the best shot maker in the league. Other than maybe Ethan Lasco, he's the best shot maker in the league. The way he could put the ball in the basket from anywhere in the mid range was very impressive.
No, I think there's
So
I think there's reason to suspect that we've underestimated this team 2 weeks in. But
well,
I,
yeah, we did. Well, Jeremy
I,
Brody first at the fifth pick. You know what? He's still an elite player. So
I think
fine. But
I
Mordecai
still
Shapiro is in the third round or second round, wherever he got him.
I still think you'll see some vulnerabilities with this team at some point.
Well, Burry, he had a great start with his Wizards that one year. So the one thing is what happens when they start to lose? Are they going to implode? Look, last year he started off 2-0, right? Are they going to implode if they start to feel the pressure, or are they going to stick together? I think with Brody, Burry, Kirshner, and Mordy Shap, I think they'll stick together, but that will be the question.
Mm-hmm.
Mavericks, T-Wolves. T-Wolves
Playoff
1-2.
Halpert.
Yeah, but T-Wolves are 1-2, but they have, again, this is a similar team to us. They have two games where they lost down the stretch. In one
A
game,
lot of people have thought that this team was on the bottom end.
no, but look, the Grizzlies, who are now 2-0, they took them to OT. The Mavericks, who everybody likes, they beat them by one. And the Jazz, they lost by one. And that was really, I think, They were so I'll go over the game. Ezra Cyclic is an elite player, as it turns out.
Plays for YU right
Plays
now.
for YU and he deserves it, and he's an elite point guard. Ryan really thinks highly of him. R.A. Halpert, an elite 3-and-D guy, and Sammy Marcus is one of the better bigs in the league, right? If you talk about the best bigs in the league, Sammy Marcus is on the list. I don't know where on the list, but he's on the list. So they have their big three. Yehuda Halpert and Tony Pollock are great 3-and-D role guys. They have an identity. They played a tremendous game against the Jazz. They brought it back. They did a great job of keeping the back cuts, putting Sammy Marcus to prevent the back cuts and not allowing the Jazz to get those, take away the threes. I really thought so. They were down 8 and they caught up and then they went up 3. And there was like a minute left and they gave up an open 3, which was bad. And then Malka got called. Sammy Marcus got called for 2 really bad fouls. I just didn't agree with the reffing on the play. Malka hit the not Malka, David Katz hit the free throw and they lost by 1 on a really ticky-tack bad call. I think if you're the Timberwolves, your head is up. You're getting battle tested early on and you're finding out who you are. Just like we have our heads up. We have a -7, 0-2. They're a -2, 1-2. -2, 1-2. That means every game has been tight. It's just about closing out. And eventually, one of two things are going to happen. Either this becomes the curse of the season or they figure it out. But I think if you have Ezra Cyclic, who's an elite point guard, and Aria Halpert, who's an elite basketball mind, they're going to figure it out. This is a good team.
Yeah, well, Ezra
Um,
Cyclic, among all players in the league right now, is practicing with top tier talent on a yearly basis.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Oppenheimer. It's the Oppenheimer, the Halpert. That one year he broke out and
It's
made
it's like the Zevi Max effect, you know?
he's guarding Xavier Max every day in practice. That's who he's going up against, that elite all state backcourt. So getting him late, I just think it's so funny when people go like, "Oh, he's on the team." Yeah, but he doesn't play. You know who else didn't play? I didn't play that much. You know who won an MVP and a title in this league? I have. You know who else didn't play? Judah Oppenheimer didn't play that much. You know who kicked ass last year? Judah Oppenheimer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know who else didn't make who Stevie Paul didn't make. He's amazing. Like John Greenberg didn't make he's amazing. Like if you had to make this team,
David Katz went to YU. I don't think he was on the team.
yeah, I don't think he tried out. But the point I'm trying to say is like to make the team, you have to be incredible. And just because you don't play, first off, Steinmetz doesn't play point guards traditionally. He plays like unless plays off guards, and wings. So Cyclic is having a really good year. REA drafted a really good team, a real step up from last year where it was tough. Um, Look out, the Mavericks. I liked everything I've seen. I mean,
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was, it goes back to Eric Lifshitz. If you have Eric Lifshitz on your team, he'll make a competitor out of each and every one of you.
he's just a winner. He's just a winner. He knows how to own a locker room. You know what it is? Because he is always the fifth guy offensively on the court, but always has the best attitude. Always plays to win. Always makes the winning play. Always gets the ball in the hand of the best player where he wants it most. Never tries to do something outside of his element, and always dives on the floor. Always goes for the rebound. Always guards the other team's best thing. Always has the best things to say. He's my favorite player to play with, and there's a lot of guys I love playing with, but I've always said Eric Lifshitz is my favorite to play with. And I'm not saying he's the most talented player I've played with, right? I play with the Reinhardts. I play with my brother, right? I played with those guys, but Eric is a winner and he gets the locker room. And you'll ask anybody who's ever played with him, they'll tell you the same thing. Ask David Katz and Malka what they think about Eric Lifshitz from last year. They'll tell you the
Right.
same thing. This guy is a bona fide winner. Now, they had a tough loss with the T-Wolves. They came back and they passed back. The Heat were missing. Oh no, that's a different game. But sorry, just went on a tangent. They have an identity. They have and by the way, you know who else is a winner? no one block. This guy, every team he plays for, does well in any rec league setting. The Weinbergers went to the
Got to the
finals.
finals last year.
He was their second best player. He every year in Zion, he goes to the finals. He's one of the members of that team that is invaluable. And when he doesn't play for them, they don't do as well. So that he has two Dan drafted two bona fide winners with balls to the wall defenders in John Rosen and Josh Brody. You got Noah Wasserman. You got R.A. Sunshine, who had 11 points the first game. That's your seventh round pick. This might be the deepest. So I said the Jazz are the deepest team. The Mavs are unarguable. And argue for it. I think if there's one team that could actually play the Jazz well, it is the Mavs because they have the defenders to cover the cutters and the guards. I don't think the Jazz want to see the Mavs. Um, hats off to Dan for drafting this team. Um, each game's been close, which is a good sign for the league. Again, the only thing it's going to be so far so good. They are 1-1. They lost the tight one. They could be 2-0, right? They lost the tight one to the T-Wolves. Is Dan willing to play the team ball? Um, Now I would argue Jack Turell needs a little bit more Dan in me and needs to shoot a little bit more. That's what my brother told me. Uh, and Dan might need more. So we'll see if that continues. Hornets Heat. Hornets are the surprise of the draft of the league. Oren, what do you think?
I don't know. When Jack Reinhardt's on your team, you get instant contender status. No.
He's such a brilliant mind, and he demands respect, and he gets respect.
Having said that, though, beating Johnny Nolan's Heat by 13, that's very impressive.
Well, Ellie Jeselson and Zucker were missing, I think. I think they were missing
Uh,
two guys.
okay, that changes things a little bit, but
But the
I
Nets,
still
they beat with Gottlieb, Dietz, Matty, Dubin, and Rubin all in tow. The whole lineup was back, and we really liked the Nets. And the Hornets kind of beat the break. He beat them by 11. And the 11 is a lot closer than it felt if you watched the game. The
as
the
our good friend Hank Reinhardt points out, Jack Reinhardt never loses week one.
No.
And okay, so he went
Well, he
2 and
knows what to
0.
do with what he has. He does a great job of going, okay, I have player X, player Y, player Z. We could play this style, we can't play that style. We have to get this, we have to do that. He's really in shape, and he knows how to play his role, and he knows when to take over and when not to, and he knows how to empower his teammates. Again, went on that whole thing about him being the Apache helicopter that still stands, and now he has another defensive stalwart in Isaac Leifer. And the truth of the matter is, a couple things. This team moves the ball extremely well. If you watch the Hornets, that ball is zipping, 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 zipping. It does not stick. It doesn't stick with anyone. It's zoom. Now, sometimes you want the ball to stick with a post guy, maybe work off him. This ball is zoop, zoop, zoop. He enables his players to take threes, even though they're not necessarily loaded with shooters, and they're running, running, running. They get the ball up the court, they zip it, they play incredible defense. They make it very hard to score. Right now in the Eastern Conference, well, it's a little cheap because they just played a game, but if you subtract 47 points from 139. They're one of the they're playing great defense. They have the two best guard defenders in the league. They have two defensive player of the years, Oren. Two defensive player of the years, and Isaac Leifer and Jack Reinhardt. Two guys, and then Weinstock could be a first team all defense guy. They could switch, they could swap. They have a lot of different things. The only thing that might hurt him is if they see a team with a lot of size. And I wonder if they play the Pacers this year. I'd be interested to see that game. Now, Jack will tell you, and I'm sure he would, that if they play him, they're going to outrun him out the gym. And that's what they will try to do. But I'm interested to see what they would do against a team with tremendous size. But right now, the Hornets are 3-0. Jack Reinhardt, MVP bid, which he would have won last year had he not got hurt. He's on pace to win another MVP. He's on pace for another MVP season. He's gonna which would have been potential back-to-back MVPs Very impressed with what he's done. People ask me sometimes, they're sending me, how do you have Reinhardt at 4? Should have had him at 2. You know, this is about to be back-to-back MVP seasons.
Yeah.
I'll move down to the Heat will be okay. They pulled out a win against the Hawks, which is a really good team. No Jeselson, no Zucker. They had a wedding.
It's
They
just
got a
near
better.
a lot of teams 1-1 right now, and it shows how evenly matched this league is.
Well, let me tell you something. Well, how this league improved. 3 years ago, people just drafted their friends. A lot of guys played who just want to get a run in. All of the fat has been trimmed off this league. Everybody who drafts does the research, and everyone who plays to win. And they come in with a scout. Ryan said he loved it. Ryan was shocked that he walked in and he saw both huddles. He saw Burry Klein with a game plan, and he saw us with a game plan, and he saw Burry Klein's team with the timeout and strategy and an adjustment. He said, "I get it. I love it." And by the way, that's what makes it fun. Like we get to compete at this level. That's what makes this beautiful. We're competing. We're trying to win. We're basketball at its finest is like a game of chess, right? There's strategy. There's a mental aspect. There's a social aspect. There's obvious athletic aspect. Basketball, just to get a run and a workout, go on a treadmill with your buddy. That would be what I call it. This year, this is some of the best parables of life. Connections, teamwork, strategy, accomplishing goals. This is what it's all about. I love it. I'm with it.
Well,
Um,
now with 24 teams, it's really hard not to have a single, frankly, an all-star on your team.
um, yes, it's hard not to have an all-star, and every team has at least
One or
one,
two, maybe even two
two
each.
elite players, but it's harder to have. Well, yeah, no, I'm trying to see if any team has three, and I'm looking across the board here. Yeah, every team pretty much has two other than, and I'm sorry to Shmar Yahoo Shulman, the Magic. I guess they got two, Shmar Yahoo and Wizzo. Every team's pretty good, like no one's that terrible. Um, and we'll go about it. Maybe we'll get to a team that doesn't have two. But let's go Wizards, Sixers. Eli Boosie's having a career year right now. We gave him the business last year for not being in shape. And by the way, rightfully so. If we weren't honest on this pod, no reason to listen. He came in, he was out of shape, and in a team with him, Herman and Langer and Gersberg, they didn't do well. He's in great shape right now. He looks awesome. He went toe to toe with Ethan Lasco and almost won.
So it seems
Not
like the wins will
saying,
come at some point.
huh?
The wins will come at some point.
Yeah, even so, like I said
Because I
earlier,
think Ike Prezer got a lot of crap from people on how he drafted.
yes, he did. And there's
But the
nothing.
fact you only lose by 4 to Ethan Lasco, that shows that your team does have the capability.
Yeah, and John Fuhrer was hurt.
Oh, that's an added plus there.
That's
Not that
it's
he was hurt. We wish him well, but the fact that he didn't play, that speaks volumes that they could have pulled off the upset over Lasco.
Yeah, sometimes like there's moral victories. Now, some people don't believe in it. I actually do. I think the fact that they lost by 4, they made it such a tight-knit good game with without John Fuhrer to what I now again the Wizards this I think this is their first it was their first game together as a unit. So first time Ethan's playing with Moskovich, first time Ethan's playing with Jacoby, first time I think Ethan's did just an amazing job drafting guys that actually know how to play basketball, that could score, that are a threat. And when they reach week 7 and they're clicking, they're the most dangerous team. They have the best player. They have one of the best bigs. They have Brendan Lasco, who's excellent. He put 19. He's a great role guy who will score. And they got Jacoby. Like this team's good. But Sixers, they had a chance to win. Boosie was open in the corner, and the way he was shooting, he would have buried it. Ethan with a great steal. But they got Sixers keep their head up. If they could get Fuhrer back and play with the heart and the tenacity, that's what it is. They got to play with heart and tenacity and a will to win. Wizards will be fine. Nets, Pistons. I want to talk about the Nets. I've been overwhelmingly positive up until this point, and
Well,
I
I don't
want to
want to
get.
knock on the Nets because Gottlieb is still not there yet, right?
Oh, he played last week.
Oh, he's back.
Now again, it's a bad matchup because when you got Weinstock, Reinhardt, and Lifer,
It's so funny because Ari Minnick's team was the Pistons last year, and they're the Pistons again.
he likes the color.
Yeah, they are
Um,
so good. They're so good, and they have a lot of players from that team last year that are back.
he has Ostrand's back, who's a great muscle guy with Ari Mitnick, so you're gonna have to deal with both of them. Shlomo, I gotta give a shout out to my boy Shlomo
Palau is
Maier.
back on that team too, and he's like a solid last round pick to have.
No, he plays well. Blau does his role. He comes in, he doesn't argue. They got Judah Levine, who young, youthful shooter,
Johnny
fast,
Levine.
John Levine. He's great as a third, fourth round pick, whatever he was. He's playing
You have
great.
championship pedigree in Friedman
Freeman knows what it takes to win.
and Mizell's. This is his second year now, so
So I got to give credit to Mizell's. Mizell's last year got the business from because he was on a team with me and Burry, who typically win, and we had a disappointing year, and he got the blame for it.
but
And
like now he has no problem taking a backseat with this squad.
let me finish what I'm saying. After week one, he had a tough game. He was playing the Hornets, and Leifer and Reinhardt were eating him up, and he went to that a bad place mentally. And we talked after the game, and we just, when I saw how he came prepared for this game, calm, collected, focused, locked, relaxed. He didn't worry about a miss. He didn't worry about a turnover. He was like, I'm going to the next one. He was awesome. And if he could play like that as a fifth option, this is this is easily one of the most dangerous teams out of the East and easily a team that could challenge the Wizards down the stretch easily. I loved watching how he played, passing, running out in the outlet, hitting threes. When I was watching him, I missed playing with him. I saw all the things I loved about his game that made me beg Burry to draft him, which is he does all these things beautifully, and I love the way he played. He was great. So shout out to him. This Pistons team is good. I think it's only uphill from here. Next week they got the Celtics. Judging on how the Celtics are playing, I'm picking the Pistons. Sorry, Stevie. It's not looking great this year. It's not looking great for me either. So, glass houses
He'll
and
want some airtime to prove on why the jury shouldn't be out yet on his team. I'm sure.
well, we'll get to the Celtics. Glass houses and stones, I get it. Look, my team is also on too. Fine. But so I think the Pistons will get that. Let me move to the Nets. I love Matty Reinhardt, one of my dear friends, one of my favorite people to play basketball with, one of my favorite people to talk hoops with. Him and his brother are mentions. Hank had
And
done.
his father.
I mean, that's an A1 family. Matt's the best defender in the league. Not a question. Isaac Leifer, Jack's up there. Matt is number one. Adam Dietz, one of the best one-on-one scorers. So is Akiva Gottlieb. They need to find an easier way to score. I watched both games. I watched two of the three games. And in both of them, it was really hard for them to score. And maybe it means they need more ball movement. Maybe it means they need to run more sets and plays, maybe an elevator scheme, maybe a pin down, maybe something. But the idea of your turn, my turn, which worked with Mason and Gottlieb a little bit last year as they got to the semis. It took a while to work, and then it did. And maybe that will work for the Nets this year, like it did for Mason and Gottlieb last year when it matters. But right now, I'm not so. I, either it needs to start working or they need to figure out a different way to find easier buckets. It's just way too hard for them to score. They put 47 up against the Hornets, right? It's
Right.
not enough points to win in any rec league. And it was really tough for them to score. Now, granted, Weinstock, Reinhardt, and Dietz is no joke. But maybe we could try to get a switch. They need to find an easier way to score for them to be successful. That's all I got to say about them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but I think they'll be good. They have the talent. They just got to figure that part out. I think Dubin is a great post player, the redhead, and Ruben, the other one's a great shooter. I think a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more cutting, a little bit more patience. I think it'll go a long way for that team. I think they'll be good. Cavs and Magic. Magic had him tight. Shmaryahu Shulman. Here's the fun part about playing on a team like the Magic. When you have the ultimate green light and you're the man, there is like no pressure on you. You could just, you're like, all right, I'm shooting. Like, there's nothing else we could do. I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna get the ball. It's part of the funnest ways you could play basketball. So they were actually up for most of the game. They let it slip away at the end. The Cavs have more talent. I don't know if they were missing people. I should probably I got to rewatch the second half. Um,
Yeah, that
look,
makes
the
this
Magic were
scoreline
the
makes me
Magic.
think that
We
this
weren't.
scoreline makes yeah, the scoreline makes me think that Leah was maybe missing a player or two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried
I could
about
be
the
wrong.
Cavs. The Cavs
Yeah.
are now they're 2-1. Who they lose? They lost to the Wizards, who Lasco
Just the
by
other.
yeah, right. They score 50, they score 38 versus Mariaho, and then the next week they were amazing in a battle versus Lasco, where they could have won the game. They let it slip a little bit, but they have the talent. Jake Greenberg, Aiden Polinsky, Yoel Schreier, Leo Rubin, all-star Leo Rubin, with Max Blinder, who's a Frisch player. This team is not a team that you want to play. They're playing in a nice level. Moving on. Spurs Blazers. This is just a bad matchup.
Blazers still my pick.
The Blazers have the most length in the league with Spencer, Chesners, Tuckman, and Josh Schiffman. It's just very hard to score. The Spurs don't have a natural point guard necessarily
Anytime you well, why can't Heidemann be that point guard?
because he's a point guard, but like I think Heidemann is more of an off guard than like a Jordan Hode. Like I think he's closer to Caruso type of 3-and-D amazing defensive guard like Lou Dort. Um, Caruso's a good comp. Like he's better than Caruso because he's an all-star. But like Richard Jefferson back in the day, like a supreme athlete, scorer, cutter, hit the open shot than necessarily Jason Kidd. And I think Leandro Barbosa, like who was sixth man of the year, he was incredible in his prime. I'm talking about really great players here. Heidemann is that. Then he is like Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, Tony Parker, Steve Nash. He's not that player, and I don't think it's and I think he'd agree. Um, again, glass houses. We're both 0-2, and I think he'll figure it out. I mean, he took the Mavericks game, went down to the wire. We really like the Mavericks. And again, that's probably not the best matchup for Dan because he has to try to score against Heidi, who we think is on that list, right? I think we're talking about a list of best defenders, and Heidi's on it with Leifer and the Reinhardts. Um, I think I think scoring is another thing for them that they got to find easier ways, especially if they start to get length. Julius, from what is an elite shooter, elite size, great player. They got size, Seton, great defender. Heidi, I love Heidi. Heidi's my ride or die. He's my guy. Champion. I've won championships with Heidi, and I'm gonna bring him with me to the JBA in the winter. We're gonna win another one there. Um, they probably need to find ways to get Julius Rubinstein easier shots. Maybe coming off pin downs, coming off screens. They have Seton and Yechiel Tannenbaum that could set the screens. I think they'll be okay. The word's still out on figuring them out. Again, you want to peak later, not now. And taking these first couple of weeks as a lesson. It's not time to hit the panic button yet. And I said this last week.
No, this is probably just a case of growing pains.
Sure.
A lot of newbies to the league on this team. Um, Heidi can still right the ship with this team.
Oh yeah, dude. And every they got Stepner, like they got size. Um, yeah, they got to capitalize. I think Heidi wants to go in the lab and find ways to get Julius Rubinstein the ball to score, to make it open things up, and they probably want to get more out and run. Blazers are great. They're 2-0. They're gonna play the Nuggets next week. My prediction is that they'll be 3-0. No offense to Mason. I think that's a tough team to score against. That's a team that'll give Mason a lot of length. It'll be tough. And I think Mason's team is great and they'll be fine. But we'll get to that. Moving on. Pacers and Raptors. Raptors are number 2 on my list, dude. I really like this team. Romulan, my boy, Romulan Lifer is in the best shape I've seen him in years. He looks great. He's that Canadian maple food, whatever they got out in Toronto, has got him looking like a movie star. He has movie star looks right now. He's in a movie star shape. He drafted dogs in the Mitnick boys that play to win. They play great defense. They play tough. They the perfect guy. They got lucky. They got the Wizards without Lasco in week 1. But still, you got to take care of business.
And they beat the Pacers without Gurin.
And they beat the Pacers without Gurren. So I like what they got, though. In terms of defensive teams, you got Rami, you got Sam Benheim, right? Who is a great, Rami, Rafi, Mikey, Sam Benheim, and who else? I'm trying to get his name. Brian Alter,
Polinsky.
the redhead. They got Brian Alter who could play, and they got the right amount of dogs and FU guys. Polinsky, Rimberg plays tough. Rafi, this team's gonna get along. I like this draft. Shout out to Romulan for drafting a great team.
I
They
think their key to winning games will be they have to keep their opponents to low scoring.
yes, yes. If it's an under 50-point game, that was helpful because the Pacers need you to score under 30.
Right.
Um, that's not a good matchup for the Pacers because Rafi Mitnick could guard Gutman. He's one of the few people that can. He's one of the strongest people I've ever met, Rafi Mitnick, and they know how to guard illegally while guarding legally. They know how to foul you without the ref saying. They know how to get in your grill. They know how to make you sore. So once you take that Gutman equation away and Gurin's not there, it's already difficult for the Pacers to score. Now it just got
Right.
nearly impossible.
A soft shot taking went up substantially. And, look, when a soft's hot, as we always discuss, but
Yeah.
you don't want him taking that many shots in a game.
No, and also Rami Leifer is perfectly equipped to guard a player like a soft. Like that's the
Right.
worst matchup for a soft to have as a Romulan covering you and picking you up full court. The Leifer brothers and the Reinhardt brothers, man. You talk about brothers who play defense. That's the worst matchup for him to guard. It was just a bad matchup for the Pacers. Again, it's very unique. This Pacers team has to play a certain style to win. They have to play so, and they have to keep teams from getting the pace to get out of control. Now, Joseph Faber did a great job of keeping the Celtics in their pace in week 1. Let the Raptors run a little bit more in week 2. Let them get out and run. Faber got to get back to the lab, watch the tape, and learn how to keep the pace, how the Pacers want it on a Naismithian level of speed. Not worried about them, but they know who they are, and they got to play that way. Moving on, Grizzlies Clippers. Um,
Well, this is probably a time where I have an about face and have to apologize for the remarks I made on a previous show about
about
teams
Avi
having
Nat.
teams not being set up for success when their captains are not top round picks.
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. They're 2-0, and Avi Nat is giving me a big middle finger deservedly right now.
Again, it's early. So Avi Nat, don't give a middle finger just yet because it could all fall apart. But
I could
it's
still be
hats off.
vindicated.
Here's the thing. We said Renan Glassoffer, an early MVP candidate for the West. They're 2-0. we all agree that of the teams that are undefeated, let's just call it. Let's just be honest, right? Let's look at the rosters. The Grizzlies are the weakest. Of all, they're not as deep, but the least deep. The Jazz have David Cohen as their seventh pick. The Blazers, we just mentioned, the Chesners, who are both champions, spent three champions, Josh Schiffman. The Thunder, we just talked about Mordecai Shapiro, Burry. I think the Grizzlies are, but he got the best value, and he had a bad pick, Avinat. End of the first round. But then not early enough in the second round to get like a cyclic or no. But he got the best. He got Benny Tuckman, who's really locked in this season. This is the most locked in I've ever seen Benny, and he's looking great.
Well, I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Let's hear.
I think a lot of people, don't rate Benny Tuckman in the top tier among talent, and Benny's gonna play his game. He tunes out all that stuff. He's not gonna think about it. But I think a lot of people have downgraded Benny in recent years in terms of his draft stock. No,
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess 2 years ago he was drafted in the first round, and
yeah,
he was a Sarachek winner. He's become a second rounder. I think last year they were on pace to having a great. I think we ranked him in our power rankings number one or two before he got hurt. The point is, Benny being playing with Renan Glasshofer is the best case scenario for that team, with Avinat as a shooter, with the Judas Shands are another size. Renan, the thing about Renan, I think he might be the best closer in the league. I think he's a JJ Zackheim type of scorer that picks his spots, that knows when to attack, when to close, when to decide, okay, now is when I'm going to do it. And how do I know that? If you watch their fourth quarters, he gets the guys involved. This is just Kobe-esque, honestly. He gets the guys involved through 3.5. And when the game is time to close it out, Renan ices it. And they've won both games that are close. Honestly, what Renan has done for the Grizzlies is what we haven't been able to do for the Warriors. If the script was flipped and I was closing games like Renan Glasshofer has been closing games, we would be 2-0. And if Renan was closing games like I have, they'd be 0-2. Closers are very important. Now, this could obviously switch. This is another one where it's like, how much better are the Grizzlies than the Warriors? They could very well be us. They won one in overtime and one by four with free throws
yeah. But the average
but
analyst, it doesn't take an idiot to determine based on paper that you're a far superior team than this Grizzlies team.
on paper.
Right.
But again, you don't play the game on paper.
Right.
Chemistry, effort, in shape, like a lot of things have to. So shout out to the way they're playing.
You guys play each other at some point?
Not this season.
Hmm.
We did rank them with the easiest schedule in the league. And right now, let's see, they played the T-Wolves, who we like, and they played the Clippers. So far, it's, and they play the Spurs next week. So that kind of
I'm,
holds, 1-2, 0-2, 0-2.
yeah, they've kind of
But you still got to beat them. So you
right, right.
still got to win. So, and then they get the Kings, and then they get the Suns, who are good. And then they get the Thunder, who are great. And then they get the Mavericks, who we like. So, I mean, they're 0-2 right now, and 2-0 right now. I hope they continue it. I think they're going to finish the season as a top four seed, and Renan Glasshofer is an early indicator for MVP. He's playing for MVP right now.
Mm.
He's my number one pick in the West for MVP.
We'll see if there's actually an All-Star game this year.
I don't think maybe we'll make All Stars again, but I think the captain should vote on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go up. Let's talk about the Clippers.
Well, I saw
Tough.
JJ over the weekend.
All right.
I caught up with him for a bit. We talked about his team, and he's not worried yet. JJ is very confident, which I love and respect about him. I think he came to grips though with one important piece is that when the going gets tough, JJ can hit impossible tough shots, but when the going gets tough, he has to involve his teammates, and I think he's still trying to figure out that aspect of this team.
I think what needs to happen, I think the problem, so JJ, one of my favorite players to play with, and probably offensively, my favorite guy to do 1-2 punch stuff with. I think I have to run down it, but there's few guys that come to my mind that when it's like, who do I love? I love running the two-man game with him. He's so brilliant. He's such a brilliant offensive mind. I would, a savant, a genius on the offensive
He's
end.
probably trying to mold Lipner into that guy.
Well, I think what he needs to think about doing is seeing if early on he could get his teammates confident and going and feeling good, knowing that whenever he wants, he could turn it on and just put points on the board. And now, if the game is close and he hasn't stepped on the gas yet, and now he could step on the gas, now you're in trouble, right? That's how I think he should approach it. But there's a lot of room to play. Like I took a look at my team. I watched a lot of game tape, and I have a load of notes of things I want to try to best fit my team, not necessarily me. Like if it was me, I would do things differently. If I was just caring about my stats, I'd do a bunch of things. I'd be like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to get my team going. And then if the team is hot and now I have one-on-one, now I know that I can score. Jack Turell can score against anybody, especially in the post in a one-on-one setting. JJ can score against anybody in one-on-one. I think he needs to think about getting the guys going early. I think that's the key. And the guys have to deliver. They got to deliver. If they can't deliver, it'll be a long year. Should we move on?
Yeah. Um. So next
Nuggets
team,
Suns.
as everyone loves to talk about, Team Weinberger.
Yeah, I told him after week one, don't worry. They went down by 30 in the first half versus the Kings, and they cut it to 7. They always have a
They play the
bad,
Kings now. They probably beat them.
yeah, probably. I mean, they always have a bad game to start the season to get the rust off. They're better and it's funny. I think someone told me the Weinbergers get confused why people say they're better as a unit than maybe as the individual. I think that's a compliment. Like they just play great together. You would rather, that's what championships are made of. Like, does Nikola, like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter and KCP and Aaron Gordon and Jokic all play better as a unit than when like Aaron Gordon was young, when he was on the Magic, right? They couldn't wait to get rid of him. Like, would you say Aaron Gordon's a bad player? No, just plays better as a unit surrounded by those guys. I think that's what it is. Like Christian Brown or Bruce Brown, sorry, what did he do this year? But on the Nuggets, surrounded by good teammates, great. Because I think these are the best teammates. That's why I said after the year I won, I wanted to play with them the next year. Now I know I'll never get to play with them. But this is a team that you want to play on. They play the game the right way. They're going to be good. They're going to win a ton of games. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to move the ball. They're going to switch threes. Um, they're tough. They're good. Nuggets have had 2 tough games. I expect them to bounce back. They have another tough game next week against the Blazers. I think if we look at it, I
They're
think
probably the best. They're probably the best team left that has yet to win a game on paper.
they're great. I'm not. You got Mason Wedgel, you got Ori Schwartz, you got All-Star Joe Klein, Amir Gavrin, Ellie Greenberg's a dog. He's certified. I think this is a non-panic team. I don't think this
Yeah,
team
I
panic
agree.
yet.
I agree.
Their
Don't
guys have
forget
to
Joe
show
Klein.
up.
Don't forget Joe Klein was on that Nets team last year. They also had a pretty poor start, and then they got it together.
They started 0-3 and they ended up 4-3, and they were a fadeaway corner 3-point garbage shot for making the semis.
Right?
Semis we considered a successful season. I think I am not a championship or bust guy. I think semis is where you can consider if you make a Final Four, I will give you the stamp of approval of a really good year, right? Your Lakers team, a Gottlieb team last year, like if you make a Final Four, you had a good year. Um, I think they'll be okay. Um, I think, they got to just start clicking. They got to start clicking. I think they've had a tough run. It's been a tough matchup. It's unfortunate. I don't have much. I got to be honest. I don't have much to say about the Dogs because they didn't record the first week, and then the second week was in the old gym, so there was no tape. So I hope to watch them in the third week. And Mason, Joe, Ori, love you guys. I'll have a better take when I get to watch you guys at Heichal on July 2nd. I have a long flight. I'll be able to watch the game. Um, the last one, Hawks Celtics. Hawks
Yeah,
are
I
good.
actually that was the game I got to catch at the end. That was my first game of the season in person with Daniel Malka. He was there to cheer on. It was I think Jason Langer.
Langer.
Yeah.
So Hawks are
Um,
good. I do. They got Matt Jacoby, Jason Langer, Yoni Levine, Aton Sullivan, Avi White. I mean, this is a really good team that they're
and
look.
Deutsch kind of recaptured some of his form
Deutsch is on
from
a mission this year.
yeah,
Sick of losing. He's sick of going to Shabbos meals and having the team that nobody takes seriously. It's not fun.
yeah.
Deutsch, if you look at his eyes when he plays, he is locked. He's got a
And
fire in there. He's
as much
playing.
as we all love Stevie, it seems like he it seems like he has a little bit of a target on his back right now from teams around the league.
No, I don't think that's the case. Like, yeah, maybe, but like everybody has a target. I don't. I have a target on my back. The
For
Josh,
sure.
I had guys jump in my face after week one. You know, I have a target. Ethan Lasko has a target. Jack Reinhardt has a target. Ari Mitnick has a. When you're an elite player, you always have a target, especially in a league like this where you're a returning player. Like who knows? Mordecai Shapiro should start having a target. That's an elite player. Like when you're an elite guy, Renan Glassoffer should have a target. When you're an elite guy, you have a target. As a cyclic, Dan Poley, you have a target.
Right.
But Stevie, the problem with Stevie's team thus far, and again, I might hit the panic button. Not so much to panic, but the guys need to get in the gym and practice hitting threes. There's not enough space for Stevie to operate. And it was the same problem he had with the Hornets 2 years ago. Stevie had an amazing season with Team Silver when he had Merwitz, who's dead eye, J Shap, dead eye, Wizzo, dead eye shooter, Ruv Halpert, dead eye shooter, and Stevie was the center. And now he could go 1-on-1 and he could drive and he could do his amazing physical feats. Then he had a team without 3-point shooting and teams packed it in and it made it impossible. Then he had a team with Miller, Seth Foreman, Wizzo, two A1 shooters and one good shooter, and Seth, who's a pretty good shooter, plus Tripp to help rebound and defend. They had an unequivocal great season. You would think that Stevie would come back and draft the shooters, but he has Lasco, who's a good shooter, and Benheim could hit. He needs. He would love a Mike Herman. A Mike Herman would be an amazing fit for this team. A Johnny, no, like you can't get Johnny that early, but he Noah Gurin, like he needs shooting. And teams are just packing it in.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about shooting is it's 80% confidence. So Stevie just tells if he gets his guys in a gym to start shooting threes, this guy's just practicing knockdown threes and they start knocking down threes. This team's going to be dangerous. They have the defense. I think right now they have one of the top defenses in the league. They only give up 76 points in divided by two. That's 38 points a game. What is that? 76 to did they
This is when you need someone like Poppers.
No, I got you. The average. They give up 38 points a game. It's an incredible defensive team. What does that tell you about the offense? They don't have
Right.
enough scoring. They
Right.
they score 28 points a game. Stevie could score 28 on his own. Just means that he needs the other guys to start hitting threes and then opening it up. They're the best defensive team in the league, honestly. Look, they give up 38 points a game. It's incredible. So I actually would hang my hat, even though they're 0-2 and they've gotten blitzed on, and people are probably crapping on them because Stevie went so hard on the pod. I'd actually take a look at it optimistically and think, look, we only give up 38 points a game. If we could score 44, we're winning. If we could score 50, we're elite. And that's not a hard feat to score at that. They need to get Stevie the ball. Ami Gersberg, as the point guard, needs to run things to get Stevie the ball in better positions to score. Stevie needs to work on the mid range because teams are packing it in. Like Giannis needs to work on he needs a little mid range. They need to work on the shots and they'll be okay. But if they
Mhm.
don't, it's gonna be a long year. Um,
Well, who would be great to pick up out of free agency because come to think of it, it's kind of crazy. I don't think he's in the league this year, and he's like a regular.
who?
Jay Shat, and he's a great shooter.
Jay Shapp would be perfect for this team. This team
Right.
would love a Jay. I mean, you
Where
can't
the
pick
heck
up
is
free
Jay
agents.
Shat this season?
I think he took a step back last year as a player and hung it up. Uh,
Hmm.
I want to give a shout out to Bookbinder and to Ellie Gartenberg for showing up to my son's upshare. Those are class acts. It was a great time seeing him. Let's pick our picks of the week for next week. Kings Warriors.
The week is kind of already off to a start because with last week there were
Yeah,
three
I'm gonna
games.
pick the Warriors. Do you want to pick the Kings?
Um, no, I think you guys finally get on the board here.
I think so too. Oh, Monday night at 8. Oh my God, 8 o'clock. I thought we were at 10.
Yeah, you're
Jesus.
playing during the USA game.
Um, Spurs Grizzlies. I think Heidemann. This is a good one. I'm gonna take the Spurs.
I'm going to take the Spurs too. I think Heidemann gets on the board here.
I think Heidi guards Renan and makes it very difficult. And Jack Sutton, let's see what he could do with Benny Tuckman. Sutton considers himself an elite big man stopper, and he has his work cut out for Benny. And let's see what Benny can do against Sutton. Let's see if the Spurs get easy shots for Julius. I think the Spurs win this one. Clippers Suns. I take the Suns.
Yeah, JJ goes 0-3.
I think that's a tough team to play in week 3. Nuggets Blazers. Love
I
Mason.
think
Love
Mason's
OKC.
team will get it going at some point. It's just unfortunate. It's the luck of the schedule that they have to play the Blazers.
I think this is a
Blazers
really
at 3.
tough team to play, especially if trying to get offense going. Like they're tough to score against. So the key to I think
Mason
the
will get it
Blazers.
going. It just won't be this week.
This is what Mason needs to do. They got Spencer, Josh, and Evan, who are great defenders. Josh Schiffman is a great off-ball defender, but he would admit he's older. He's up there in age. I think Mason needs to run a lot of pick and roll and hunt mismatches and then kick to the shooters. He's a point guard. He's got to run point. He's got to take over. He's got to be facilitating. And they got to just run screens for him. If he tries to go one-on-one against Spencer or Josh or Evan, and he could score against Josh and Evan probably easily, pretty easily. And I'm sure those guys will make him work. Um,
This is probably my game of the week, honestly.
yeah, I think
And it's in prime time, 8 o'clock.
Spencer was our defensive Western. He was runner up defensive player of the year of the Western Conference last year, losing to Eric Lifshitz. He's a great defender. That's not a matchup. If I'm Mason, I want to go 1-on-one every time, and neither really the Chesners. I know I just said easily, but that's only because Mason's great. They're great defenders. I think they should hunt Tuckman, hunt Josh, make the other guys try to go. And Gersberg's a good defender too, but they got to hunt the mismatches. But overall, I think the Blazers win. I'm just giving them what I would say is the keys to the game. They gotta keep the 3-point shooters off the 3-point line. I think they'll be all right, but I think the Blazers win.
Yeah.
Hawks Pacers, I take the Hawks.
Yeah, I'll take the Hawks too. We have yet to differ.
Bad matchup for a locked in Yoav Deutsch with Langer and Jacoby. It's a tough team.
Yeah, Gutman and Shlomo can't keep up with that team.
I don't know. I mean, They'll have the rebounding. They really have to control pace. But I think in the battle of controlling pace between Faber and Deutsch, I think Deutsch wins. Mavs Thunder, I'm taking Thunder. I think they go 3-0.
Hmm.
Well, I think
This is
Jeremy Brody is going to guard Dan Polioff perfectly. Like this is the worst guy to guard Dan because length, speed. Like Dan isn't a strength guy. Those will be the guys that could take Brody because he's skinny. The Dan is skinny and fast, and Brody's skinnier and faster. I think he's going to give him problems. Mordecai Shapiro, they have the guys to guard Morty. I would have.
honestly, I'll
Go
take
ahead.
the Mavs. I'll take the Mavs.
Let's do a beer bet on it, huh?
Yeah, I'm for it.
I'll take the Thunder. You'll take the Mavs. We'll do a beer bet. Eric Lifshitz is the perfect guy to guard Morty Shapiro. Just gotta hug him, not let him get to the baseline, not let him get to his shots, cover him the whole game. Don't let him relax. Like really, pick him up full court. Don't let him catch. That guy's elite. Giving a warning to this league. He might be the best player. He's really good.
Hmm.
Lifshitz should guard him, and a Josh Brody or John Rosen could guard. Not Josh Brody. Oh yeah, Josh Brody and John Rosen could guard. Who's Burry's guy?
Shooter Klein, Jeremy
No, the
Brody.
Jeremy Brody.
Hmm.
Could guard Brody. Yeah, Brody could be guarded by Rosen or Block or whatever. They could force him left. Eric Lifshitz needs to be reserved for Morty Shapiro, and I think they'll be all right. Pistons Celtics.
Pistons, easy call.
I think Stevie Paul would give everything to have the shooters that the Pistons have. They just have shooters. I think the Pistons
Yeah.
beat them up. They have the size and strength to contain Stevie, and they got just so much offense. Though, though the Celtics have the defense to. The thing about the Pistons is they got some hot heads, and hot heads get hot headed when they start missing, and the Celtics have the defenders to get them to start missing. So that might be a tough
Yeah.
one, but I'll take the Pistons. Sixers Raptors.
Hmm.
Rafi Mitnick guarding Ellie Boozy. That's going to be hard for my man Booze. Rafi's an elite defender.
Yeah, Rami's team goes 3-0.
Pure coming off an injury with Rami guarding him. It's tough.
Yeah,
I think Boozy has a good game. I think the Raptors go 3-0. Mikey Mitnick steps up, hits 6 threes. I think the Raptors go
agreed.
3-0. Magic Heat.
Johnny Nolan bounces back here.
Yeah,
Heat
yeah,
win.
no, I think the Magic have a long.
So we pretty much agree on every game except for the Mavs Thunder.
So that's our game of the week.
Yeah.
Do we have anything? You have anything else to say?
No, league looks like it's in full swing. This experimentation with Heichal should definitely make it interesting. I actually volunteered at a hockey tournament at Heichal. There was no AC there, so I wonder if, well, we're playing at night, so maybe it won't be as big an issue this time.
No, I don't think so. Listen, Oren, I think you should come to the games next week, and let's have one great kick-ass podcast where
Well,
Oren's back to his natural form.
well, yeah, I leave for YTT a week from Wednesday.
So let's get your word that you're gonna watch the games this week, at least some. At
Yeah,
least
well, I got the USA game tomorrow night, but after that, I should be pretty available.
all right. I love it, guys.
God
Let's.
bless America.
You want to sign off?
Yep. All right. Week 3 coming at you tomorrow night, starting with Jack Turell's Warriors. Have a great night, everyone.
You too. All right.
All right.